like the 1995 World Cup, which was won by the Springboks rugby team, Bafana Bafana's 1996 AFCON triumph, and the 2010 FIFA World Cup in South Africa made a huge impact in bringing South Africans together across the board. And nonetheless, there are still challenges like transformation in sports in this country, has been highlighted by the Minister. As the country celebrates 20 years of democracy, let's take this moment to reflect on the progress made thus far. We're now joined in studio by soccer legend. He's an icon, Fuzi Computer Lamola. Computer, good day, sir. How are you doing?
Keeping things with you.
I love these kind of conversations because I get to talk to you. The last time I think I saw you, I was much thinner. I wasn't this old. As you said, we've grown up. But talk to me about, before we get into this discussion, what does it mean to you on a personal level if we reflect on the 20 years of our freedom?
Well, I must say that much has been achieved in terms of political transformation, and there is still much to be achieved. We've seen changes. Some of them, yes, are very, very important. Some are not fundamental. Maybe just to be blunt and precise, my anticipation of political transformation, I was anticipating a situation whereby we're playing on decent fields, fields that are well looked after. Unfortunately, it's even worse than before. I don't like saying this, but I have to, you know. I still strongly believe that a good facility is a motivating factor, and an inferior quality is a demotivating factor. Hence, I said much has been achieved, but we still have a long way to go in terms of transforming other areas of our lives.
I want to touch on that in a couple of seconds because we're not talking, and I want people to move away from the perception that you're not talking about the World Cup stadiums. We're talking about grassroots level.
Yes.
We're talking about getting the system of kids playing at school level, but playing on conditions that they can develop properly.
Yes, yes. We still have a serious problem in that regard.
Now, for anybody who knows anything about soccer, you're considered not only a legend, but arguably one of the best soccer players in the history of South Africa, and it may be on the African continent too. Do you have any regrets that you were never able to play at the highest level for the national team? I mean, you were in and it was a very contentious time when you were playing soccer.
Well, I think I've had my share in that regard because we played for what was called a Springbok. Those were the Bafana of that era, you know. But it's not too many people who had an opportunity of playing against whites within this country, who had an opportunity of playing internationally. And through God's grace, I've had those experiences. I played at the level of Bafana by then, and I had an experience of playing abroad with Edmonton Drillers in Canada. Yeah, but there are quite a number of players whom I think they deserved that opportunity.
And didn't get it?
Oh, they didn't get it because of the system in which we lived under, you know.
Fast forward for me a little bit, because I want us to reflect on that. I mean, we've seen so much gains made in terms of the support for the national teams. The issue of quota systems have now reared its head again, and we're talking about representation across the board. We're talking about demographical representation. Your views on that?
You know, now that you have made mention of a quota system here, maybe to be precise, let's look at rugby. It's well known as a white sporting code, but blacks have developed interest in it. And if blacks are not...
And at the highest level as well.
Yes, even cricket, you know. Now, if blacks are not properly equipped in that regard, let's use those who are ready to continue with the sport, whilst on the other hand, we develop blacks to reach that level as well. Because it's pointless for us to be pursuing a quota system when people are not, you know, capable of producing the kind of results we expect, you know.
Are you happy, and let's take it back, let's go 1994 to 2014. Are you happy in the overall progress of sport? I mean, I've seen the numbers in terms of support increasing, but are you happy, if I had to ask Computer Lamola today, Computer Lamola, are you happy with the status quo of sport as it is today?
I am not, and for a simple reason. I strongly believe that anything that is not developed, it's destroyed. There is much that's being said regarding development of football at grassroots level. but there's less in terms of, you know, implementing that concept. Maybe just out of interest, presently I'm working with Mamelodi Sundowns. I'm a youth development coach. And I strongly believe that Mutsipe, as an individual, he's limited. He cannot do this nationally. A number of soccer players who have made a contribution in the past, they are being perceived as liabilities today. And to me, they are still assets in terms of plowing back the experience that they've accumulated over the years, you know. And that platform is not created for them. And I'm challenging the government to come on board in that regard so that we maintain that continuity. These guys, they have a lot to offer. Matches, they're no longer playing, but in terms of plowing back.
And we should get them back into the system. I've heard this conversation being brought up so many times, and maybe it's something we'll talk about a little bit later. We do have one of the members of the South African Football Association here. They've launched a new program at school level. We'll touch on that a little bit later. But thank you very much for coming in and joining me this morning. That, of course, is soccer legend Computer Lamola, just sharing and reflecting with us on what the 20 years of freedom in this country means and how we, and maybe the strides we should still be making in the field of sport. Let's take an ad break. We're back after this.